Welcome back to math. Today it's Module 4, Lesson 1. We are going to be talking about measurement and compare lengths of half, a quarter or 1/4, and 1/8, and try to understand that. But before we understand that, I think I should talk just briefly about our fractions and what they mean. Okay? So, this is, I'm going to call this a pizza. We have one pizza, right? So how would we write that? Well, we would write that as, that's great. We would write that like as one whole, right? We've got one whole pizza. Everybody sees that, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, could I write this as a fraction? I could write it as a fraction. Has it been cut up into any pieces? No, but it's one big piece, isn't it? Okay, so I could write it as a fraction as a one big piece. So when I open the box, do I still have my pizza in there?
Yes.
So I could put a 1 on the top, and that means I have my whole pizza of one whole pizza. So we could show that 1 as equaling 1/1. Does that make sense? 1/1. So this just means that this 1 down here on the bottom just means it's one whole. Just one big piece. Does that make sense? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Let's go ahead and I'm going to erase that. Now watch my pizza. I open the box, and the pizza man has cut it into how many pieces?
Half pieces.
No, 2 pieces. So the 2 goes on the bottom. How many pieces did the pizza man cut the pizza into? 2 pieces. So we're going to have a 2 down there. Now, how many of those pieces do we still have?
2.
We have 2. So, as you can tell, 1 can equal 2/2. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so when we have a number on the bottom, and in this case it's a 2, right? And when that matches the number on the top, it means we have one whole. Does that make sense? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's erase this. And I'm going to try to get rid of my... Yep, I got rid of the whole thing. It's all right. Let's do this. Here's our pizza again. Okay. Now the pizza man cut it into how many pieces?
3.
3. So my bottom number is going to be 3. Because that means our pizza man cut the pizza into 3 pieces. And how many of those pieces do we still have?
3.
We have all 3 of them. So if you notice, our one whole pizza is equal to 3/3, or 3/3. Is the number the same on the bottom as it is on the top?
Yes.
Yes, so that means we have one whole. Okay? Let me take this off, and let me add to this. Are you ready? Here we go. I just did what? I just cut each one of those pieces
Into 6.
in half. So, I had thirds. What do you think I have now? Well, let's... 6. Let's see if you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So what's our bottom number going to be?
6.
6. Very good. And if our bottom number is 6, how many of those pieces do we still have?
6.
We have all 6. So we need to write it as 6/6. And does that mean, what does that mean? 6/6. That means we have one whole pizza. Okay, does everybody understand that concept?
Yes.
All right. Now let's go ahead. You need to know this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change things around a little bit. Okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm ready for this.
Let's say I have how many pizzas do I have?
Three.
I have 3 pizzas, right?
Yes.
Now, what is, if I wrote this as a fraction, have they been cut up into any pieces? No. They're everybody one big piece. So what's our bottom number going to be?
1. Uno.
It's going to be 1. Remember I just said, have they been cut up into any pieces?
No.
You said no, they have not. You are correct. They have not been cut up into any pieces. They're all in one big piece, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you told me I had 3 pizzas, right? The pizza man didn't cut them up at all. So I have 1 as my bottom number, right? What's my top number?
3.
It's actually 3 is correct. Do you see that 3 whole pizzas equals 3, which equals 3 over 1?
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now, there's going to be a time real soon in this lesson that you're going to have to know how to do this, to do the problem. Okay, you ready? Ready? So let's go. All right, here we are. I've already worked some things out. Okay, so let's just take a quick look. This is a half. Now in this case, I'm using a tape diagram. That just means I have something like a piece of tape, right? It's like this. And it isn't going to make any difference how long it is, right? Because I can cut it into half no matter what the size is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
So that's why it's called a tape diagram, sorry, is because it's thin and long. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, what do I have here in this?
One.
I got a half, right, just say it.
One
I got a half.
Wow.
And then I took my half, and if you noticed, I cut the half in half, and that's going to give me a fourth, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, right? So the bottom number is going to be a 4. Now, if you notice, over on that side, I drew the pizza shapes, right? That'll help us remember. Now, I took my fourth, and I cut it in half again. Do you see that? And what did I end up with? I ended up with an eighth. Question, which one of these is the smallest?
The 8th.
Yeah, the 1/8 is smaller, isn't it?
Yes.
Why? It's strange. The number on the bottom is bigger, but it means it's been cut up into more pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when I had a 1 under it, like down here, when I have a 1 under it, that's a small number. 1's a small number, but it's big in a fraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it means I've got one whole thing. Does that make sense? Have I lost you?
No.
Excellent. Okay, so now I want to compare some things. So let's say I wanted to compare a half and a fourth. Let's take a look at the half and the fourth. Which one is larger? Is the half larger or smaller than the fourth?
Larger.
It's larger, so we call that, we call it greater than. Okay? So this symbol is called greater than. Why is it called greater than? Because we're reading
From left to right.
right.
Left to right. Left to right.
And if you notice, we get to the big end first, right?
Yeah.
And that means greater than. And if we got to the little n first, that would mean less than. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let me give you one more, and then I need to move on to decomposing things. Okay, so let's say I have a fourth, and I'm going to compare it with an eighth. Okay? Everybody with me? All right. So, which one is larger? Is the fourth larger than an eighth, or is the eighth larger than a fourth?
The one fourth is larger than an
Right. So what sign are we going to put in here?
Greater than.
We're going to put a greater than, because remember, as we read right to left, we get to the big N first, right?
Yes.
And so that means it's greater than. I'll do one more for you. Let me just take these out. And let's change this. Let's say I have a half here, and I have an eighth here. Okay. What sign are we going to put for this one? Would you like me to look up here? Ready?
No.
We're asking the question. An eighth is compared to a half. Eighth and a half.
Half.
Which one's greater?
Half.
The half is bigger, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So what are we going to put down for our symbol?
Less than.
An eighth. Notice the trick there. I put the eighth on the other side, didn't I? So the eighth is less than. And if you notice, we're reading what way?
Left to right.
Left to right. So when we hit this n first, the little n first, that means less than. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right. So let's do some decomposing, shall we? Now, decomposing just means taking something apart. So let me put something up in this bubble. This is going to be our total bubble. Okay? So let's say our bubble is 2/8. What two fractions would equal 2/8?
1/8.
1/8.
Right. 1/8 plus 1/8 would equal 2/8. Do you see that? So I could put 1/8 here, 1/8 here, and it's going to equal 2/8. Good job. Now, how else could I write that? I have how many bubbles down here?
3. 2.
Okay, I see 1, 2. I said, how many bubbles do I have down there? So I have 2. So I could put a 2 here, right? I could put a 2 here. And what else could I do mathematically to that? Well, I could multiply it by 1/8. And remember I said earlier we're going to need to deal with this. So how can I turn this into a fraction? Just like we did. Let me push this up a little bit. Oops, sorry. Just like I did here. What did I do? 2 over 1. Nice job. So I'm going to put my over 1 there, and then I'm going to multiply 2 times, let me change my color so you can watch me do it. 2 times 1 equals
2.
2, and 1 times 8 equals
8.
8. Did you notice we got the same answer? We can add an eighth plus an eighth and get 2/8, or we could write the question slightly differently. As 2, we have 2 bubbles, right? 2 groups. And what's the items in the groups? The items are eighths. And we have 2 groups. 2 groups. And that's how we got this big 2 here. And we could multiply it by an eighth and end up with the same answer. Does that make sense? I love math.